Hello. We're gonna continue where we left off. As a quick reminder, we were fighting an eagle. Or day broke. We were close to death because we already got some sun on us, and most vampires would have just died just then and there. But we increased our fortitude and survived that. We have 2 dots in fortitude. A very survivalists, stamina people. Anyway, there was a eagle there that attacked us, and we strode towards the eagle, who scratched at the air, but it seems to know that its talons cannot harm us. It flaps away screeching as our clothes smoke. You force yourself to remain calm. Right now you tell yourself that it's only pain, not lasting damage. A vampire without your gifts would be a column of fire right away, but you can survive for a little while. You hurry anyway, circling around the abandoned station's north side away from the sun, and there you find a single open window. As smoke starts to escape from your clothes, you wiggle inside and then crawl kick away from the hole. A wave of exhaustion hits you as the sun rises fully. The kindred were not made to remain awake during daylight hours, and you look around for anywhere safe you might rest. There's an old metal top freezer beside the counter here, just big enough to hold you, and sealed against sunlight. Inching around the shafts of daylight that filter through the open window and the gaps in the boards, you wrench the old freezer open. It smells like expired milk, but you can't worry about that now. Plus, you don't even have to care about how it smells, because you can just not smell. Anyway, you drop into the old freezer and pull the lid shut. Then you mentally inventory all the things you do need to worry about: your ruined car, the age of hunger in your gums, the smell of fresh blood somewhere in this building, the strange eagle. You may not survive another night, but you survived this one. You survived the warm black pit where your sire nursed her ghoul spawn. You survived the hunters that came for her. And you survived out here in the desert for years, one night at a time. You permit yourself a tight little smile. You can still make it. You can still find a way out of this. And then the blackness of the day sleep swallows you. Next chapter. Man, I should have read this until then. Anyway, I think we will go episode for episode, chapter for chapter. If the first chapter is something to go by, every chapter should take about an hour. So, I hope some people are willing to come. Oh, and we got trades now. Man, this actually looks very interesting. And it seems to be a lot bigger this game than I expected. Anyway, humanity is how close to human you are. The more humanity you have, the easier it is for me to not go feral. And yeah, that's basically it. It's easier to act like a human, which can be helpful if you just are able to hold composure. As we see, I don't have that much composure anyway, so that's important for us. Hunger. Every day you wake up, you lose 1 hunger, and hunger means you need blood. And if your hunger gets low enough, you go feral at some point, or it will be difficult to control yourself amongst humans with flesh blood. Willpower allows you to succeed, basically. Like, if something seems to be very difficult, you can spend a point of willpower to strengthen the task at hand. Wounds is just what it says, like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 HP. These boxes can be with 1 strike through, that's bashing damage, 2 strike throughs, that's lethal damage, and if it's completely filled or 3 or a star inside of it, that's the 3rd step of damage. To die as a vampire, everything needs to be filled with with supernatural damage. Like everything of these need to have a star, and then you fall into you have your final death. But you also fall into torpor if all of these are filled with lethal damage. That's because we are a vampire. Vampires are tougher than humans. If you're a human, if all of these are filled with anything, even if it's just bashing damage, you just fall unconscious. But we are uninjured. Masquerade violations are... Masquerade is the vampire tradition or for their protection. The, wanting to stay... to not reveal that they are vampires. If everyone knows that vampires exist and where they are, hunters come and try to kill vampires. If you break the masquerade, which is this law of keeping vampires secret, you get a strike. 3 strikes and you're out, which means you get executed by your vampire paws. But it can also mean that hunters find you and kill you if you get masquerade violations. Obviously, with real hunters, 1 or 2 violations can be enough to get those to hunt you. Then, convictions. That's what you believe. Where we are currently, none of those. Protect the weak, rule the weak. Perpetuate your existence, or regret your sins. Defy the traditions, respect the traditions. Seek higher purpose, seek luxury and comfort. Interesting. This is cool. Okay, let's read chapter 2. Into the sunset. Arizona I-10, heading west. Night of November the 2nd. Sunrise, 6:42 a.m. If anyone had found you that day into this used freezer, they would see only a disheveled corpse. And while the sun is in the sky, that's all you are. The blood you get back in El Paso before you hopped in your Honda awakens the moment the sun sets. The return to consciousness is instantaneous and agonizing. You open your eyes in blackness. Your limbs are still heavy as if crushed by the weight of the sun. As you wait, you think about the Camarilla, and you remember what the elders made you do to prove that you were more than a clanless scavenger. Camarilla is one of 2 important vampire clans. There are more technically, but the most important is the ones you always see are the Camarilla and the Sabbat. The Camarilla care about the masquerade and want like an orderly vampire society. 3 are important, the Anarchs as well. Then there are the Anarchs. The Anarchs don't want to be ruled by the Camarilla, but they care about a healthy society in a way, but they don't think that you have to be ruled by anyone. Then there's the Sabbat. The Sabbat really don't care about upholding the masquerade. They just want power and think that they can just take the power and rule over humans and keep staying alive that way by just ruling over humans the way vampires are supposed to do. Like they are the obvious evil clan. Yeah, it's in your editions of Vampire, you can actually play Sabbath. In the first releases of the game, I believe, you weren't allowed to, or you shouldn't play the Sabbat because they were pure evil back then. Nowadays they are still evil because all vampires are evil. The Camarilla and the Anarchs aren't better, and also the clanless, obviously. All the vampires are evil, but But Sabbath was originally intended to be even more so. They had no redeeming features, but that got revised more or less in the future editions of Vampire. And nowadays you can try to play Sabbath Chronicles which don't divulge in, how would you call that? In pure evilness, like it's horrible what a real evil guy would do. Okay. You were desperate then, and you knew you had to obey. They paired you with another desperate young Canaanite, a charming young man named Julian Sim, who talked too much. He was something that other kindred called an Assamite. Sorry, Habu Hakim are not the ones that turn black. That's the Assamites. Assamites are interesting in a way. They are not known for talking too much, actually. Um, he was something that other kindred calls an Assamite, and back then you didn't know if that was another clan like the Gangrel or another sect like the Camarilla. No one ever bothered to tell you. Julian had the eager energy of a congressional page and the glittering patient eyes of a reptile. He was out for himself, and so were you, and that gave you something in common. You remember Julian's lime green geo tracker crunching to a halt over gravel. You jumped out and felt the sand beneath your feet. Still, hot hours after sunset, though the night air felt cool. Julian was well dressed despite the rough work, but back then you always wore the same thing when out in the desert. Coveralls with the name you used sewn on a patch. Not your real name, of course. That person died in an alley outside a locked apartment. You still call yourself Rook, Celeste, Bane, Luca, Ransom, Paya. Or we can give it another name. I guess we will go with Samet. I believe the channel I will upload this to will be Brainforge, but yeah, in games I will probably call myself Sam or Samet. That's my real name backwards. Let's look at our stats. Did that change? I couldn't imagine that they did. No, they don't seem to. Okay, all good. Those old coveralls let you pass as a maintenance worker just about anywhere. They were better protection from prying eyes than any Nosferatu's invisibility arts. Carrying water for the Avery Tower, huh? Samut, Julian said with a little bit of a chuckle, hoisting the plastic gallon jugs out of the back of the tracker. Each read Buena Suerte, or something like it in blue Sharpie. You didn't laugh. This wasn't humanitarian work. Or maybe it was. The desert princes still feared a thing that slept under those sands. They told you that if it woke up hungry, it would tear this land apart. I might have read in the wiki about something similar. I wonder if it's this story. How long do you think we're gonna do this? I won't spoil anything, of course. I do love talking about all this stuff, but I'll try to keep some secrets for you. How long do you think we're gonna do this? Julian asked. Also, I'm not an authority on any of these subjects. Like, I am not that well versed, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, obviously. How long do you think we're gonna do this? Julian asked. Julian talked too much. But sometimes he cut through the bullshit with words that carried a constellation of meanings. How long? Decades? Centuries? We, neonates, nothing but larvae in the eyes of the elders. And this is awful work. This is what it is to be a neonate, Julian. We work our way up, but we can work our way up forever in the Camarilla. This is how we survive to see another night, and as far as I can see, it's the only way. Complaining won't save anyone. I hate this evil work as much as you do. The Camarilla claims they act for the greater good of all kindred. It's just a lie. You're supposed to be the visionary, Julian. Give me a reason to walk and I will. I think I would go with this one. I see him as a survivor. He has the idea to save people or to be kind of human-like. He didn't join the military just for the cash, I believe. But he's a survivor. That probably changed one of those. No, it didn't. Interesting. Julian grimaced as he wrestled with the water. I want to do more than survive, Samit, he said. That's all our elders do. They endure, they persist. What kind of existence is that? No, I'm not an idiot. I've better things to do than run off into the desert and get destroyed. But can you really do this for another 50 years? Mortals loading their brains into a computer and colonizing the poles of Venice, and we are dragging water through the desert in a geo-tracker. A hot desert wind whipped Julian's black hair around his head as he counted the gallons of water. The Camarilla gave you a job that they considered necessary, even vital. Desperate migrants stumbled through this part of the desert, fleeing violence in Mexico and Central America for the promise of a better life in the States. Without water, many died. 8 groups dropped water and supplies for the migrants. The year before, the Camarilla had infiltrated and supplanted one of those 8 groups, replacing their members with you and Julian. Your job? Position the water above the scattered layers of the Nosferatu elder, the one only known as Reremouse. The victims, he claimed, would give him enough blood to prevent his full awakening. This sucks, Julian said as he checked the GPS coordinates on Jarman. I mean, I know what we are. I know what we do to survive. But this is just so stupid. It's inefficient and wasteful. This was how the world ran 2 or 3 centuries ago, somewhat. Before anyone invented flowcharts or assembly lines. I'm sorry if I'm drinking a bit much, but I feel my throat a little bit. Okay, I hope I can read better now. It was horrible work, but what choice did I have? It was either that or be destroyed myself, for I will never forgive the Camarilla for compromising me like that. It was ugly work, but more people would have suffered if the elder woke up, so I went back to work. They were just food. Why care? It needed to get done, and maybe the Swartmans knew enough to escape. The work was intolerable. I convinced Julian that we needed to find something better to do with our own lives. I couldn't do it anymore. I made up my mind to ditch Julian this horrible work the moment I got the chance. I guess this one. Yeah, the Camarilla is actually allowing people to die here. But I'm a survivor. But I want to keep my humanity, so I will go with that. You sighed and did what had to be done. Julian always had plans to get out and move up in those nights, and you let yourself dream alongside him, but his plans never came to anything. The Camarilla elders cared nothing for the state of your souls, interested only in the immediate convenience of keeping Raremos quiet and lacking the courage to stop him themselves. You wanted to fight back, to assert your dignity as a free vampire, but they were always watching. Even when they weren't present, the elders saw far across space and deep into your soul. You know you belonged to them, though you hated it. So that night you checked your position on Garmin one last time, dropped off the water and got back in Julian's geo-tracker. An obedient little servant. Did the elders laugh at your rage? A few months later, Julian got his money, for you never learned how. Something to do with venture capital, interested in the software he was developing? Anyway, one night he just disappeared, leaving you with the Geo Tracker, a stack of CDs with file names written on them in blue Sharpie, and instructions to deliver them to an industrial park in Austin. You looked up his company, 2100X, which was apparently located in Denver, but you could never find an address or contact number, and that's been your life ever since. I see. So, at this point you became a delivery driver. You can move your hands now. You push the top of the freezer open, haul yourself out, and drop silently to the ground. Your hunger is an age in the back of your gums that leads right up behind your eyes and that threatens to turn into migraine. You can hold off the beast a few more nights like this, but you'll need to feed soon. You wander past your dusty and empty shelves and glance outside through gaps in the boarded up windows. You can't see that strange eagle, but you still smell blood. It's faded, but impossible to ignore. Movement catches your eye, but it's just the reflections in the broken glass of an empty display case. You stare into the eyes of a haunted-looking, eternally young, weird man. You look like shit. Bloodshot eyes, skin pulled back from your nails and teeth, thrift store clothes. Even your satchel looks like someone wrecked it down the highway. You check the satchel. Your deliveries, the USBs, are still in there. Then you hear sound outside. A few whispered words in Spanish. Weeping. Thank God. Food. Oh, this will be interesting. They must have pulled some boards away to get inside, then covered them up so no one interrupts spots with a flashlight. You're in the middle of the disused convenience store's freezer. You're in the middle of the disused convenience store's 3 aisles, invisible in the darkness. At the far side of the store, a short hallway leads to 3 doors, a locked bathroom straight ahead, and then 2 doors, one to the left and one to the right. You guess the left door leads to a storage room. The mortals are trying to get it open. You count 4 of them, a man and a woman in their mid-20s, an ancient woman, and a frail, grey-haired older man, even smaller than the old woman. The younger woman whispers something in Spanish you don't catch, then forces the storage room door open with a shriek of metal. Not much here, the young man says, sweeping the storage room with his flashlight. He's traveling heavy. Crowbar, backpack, water bottles, road flares. Those are your road flares. They must have found you under. Whoever they are foolish or desperate to bring a woman in her 70s, at least, and a guy who isn't built for this kind of work. You're surprised that they are this far north without having already made contact with someone. The younger woman starts jiggling the handle to the bathroom, which is between the storage room and the office. Bored and fearless, the old man hobbles down one of the aisles, and your beast screams behind your eyes. I can sneak up on him and drain what I need before anyone knows what happened. I just need to take the edge off, he'll be fine. Grab the old guy without making a sound, and once the fangs are in, he go limp. Stay hidden. I can sneak. Yeah, it's dexterity plus clandestine. Subterfuge would be nice, but I believe in myself. Let's go and sneak on him. You need to feed while you're still in control of your actions. You wait until the others wander into the storage room, taking most of the light with them, and glide towards the old man. You tell yourself afterwards that you definitely would have had him. What? Oh, fuck. That's not good. A moment before you reach the old guy, you hear the young woman at the bathroom door shriek, and then you hear the crunch of bone. What? The old man turns to see you and holds in terror. Before you can run, what's left of the young woman flies down the aisle, missing you by inches, splattering your face with blood, and then knocks the old guy to the ground. He doesn't get up. You absently note that the woman's corpse is already drained of blood. Then you turn, confront the thing in the bathroom. The kindred of Clan Nosferatu are never beautiful, but this one is particularly hideous. Stark naked, and so tall he has to stoop to get out of the room, with a flattened skull and the huge bat-like ears that make it impossible to imagine what he looked like in life. And then you look into his flat black eyes and realize there's nothing there. Oh my god, he might have lost his humanity. April 2007. In the end, we are weaker than they are, Julian says, watching a trio of teenagers across the 7-Eleven parking lot. He sips blood from his extreme gulp, then uses it to gesture at the mortals. I mean, spiritually. We are weaker. We're like scurvy victims or something. We can't heal. The beast, you say? I'm not going to ask what you've done in its grip, Julian says, or what you've done on your own and blame the beast for. But I know the beast will eat you if you're not careful. It'll eat your soul and life behind your eyes. When that happens to one of us, the Camarilla call them whites and hunt them down. And the Assamites, you ask? I don't know, Julian says. I never had the courage to ask. Okay, that's a white then. That's not good. That's absolutely not good. The Nosferatu, the mindless white that had once been a Nosferatu, spots you. But then it turns, and though you cannot see a tough-looking young guy and the old woman, you know that they are cornered in the storage room, as the dead woman's blood runs down its chin. The creature weighs its options. It turns towards the storage room, moving awkwardly because a huge orange chain is fastened around one of its legs. Then something lashes out of the darkness into White reels back. And the White reels back, more in surprise than pain. The young man strikes the creature again with his crowbar. That won't be enough to fend off a monster like this. These people will be dead in moments, and then the fallen Nosferatu will turn its mindless rage on you. I grab the chain and hold the white backwards to protect the people in the storage room. I look for a way to get us to safety. I get the white's attention and lure it away from the mortals and slip back into the shadows. Oh man. I'll try this one. The problem is that we have to kill the white at some point. On the other hand, humans are not supposed to survive. Okay, I will do this one, even if it might be a Masquerade violation. In worst case, I might have hunters on my hand. But I hope not so. Let's do this. It seems like you're going to have to risk your own skin. You throw one empty can at the white's head and then vanish behind a shelf. The monstrous thing holds and rushes you, abandoning the mortals. But you are easily able to vanish into the darkness of unlit a convenience store. You slide around another shelf, then spot a younger man creeping forward to retrieve the days-old guy. Almost under the creature's nose, you find an abandoned, long-expired box of frosted flakes and throw it, distracting the thornless Veratu as the young man scoops up to his elder. Then the old woman shouts, "There's a way out!" The white runs for the voice, but gets caught in a chain again. You follow the man back to the storage room. The old woman has raced to the door of the loading dock. As the white rips apart the convenience store, you and the survivors race outside. You slam the door shut, and it locks with a satisfying click. Yeah, I'm very. I like to look at my stats, but I feel like I should do that only when it's necessary. I'm really sorry for doing that all the time. It is his place now, the old woman says, watching the shadows of the Nosferatu as it travels through the abandoned convenience store. She says something else in an indigenous language you don't understand, her hands grip tight around her crucifix. Then she grabs the young man's shoulder before he goes back for the dead woman. His shoulder is hurt, and he has a cut on his scalp. The crucifix doesn't move you, but you get away from the blood. The old guy moans, and the two of them help him stand on his own. You have 1,000 questions and one problem. Where did the Nosferatu come from? Who changed it up? Was it in prison because it had become a white, or did it lose its mind during its imprisonment? And what are you going to do with these people who just saw a blood-stained, butt-eared monster kill a woman? I can't leave witnesses. I kill them and feed. I need their blood, and it's bad to leave loose ends. I'd rather know free. I need to feed before the beast consumes me. I drink from the older man. That will make persuading them not to talk harder. But I have to feed. These are religious folks. I misdirect them into believing that they face a demon. I'm pretty sure demons aren't real. I won't spoil that. I intimidate them into silence, promising them they'll die if they speak a word of this to anyone. I appeal to their higher principles. I believe... Yeah, I'm looking because I believe I have intimidation. Yeah, only 1 dot and only 1 dot charisma. But I don't want to kill them. So, yeah. I will do this. You don't care how much these migrants know or think they know. You only care that they stay silent. You don't spend a lot of time issuing threats to mortals, because lately you haven't spent much time at all around mortals, except to feed or order them around. It's tiring, sorry. It's tiring, infuriating work. The young man in particular keeps trying to argue, as if you're not trying to save his life. As if you're not an obvious monster covered in blood, explaining what will happen if he talks. It's the old man who finally saves them. He's probably seen some real horror in his life, and he knows when it's important to shut up. When he starts to argue your points, you get the other two to swear themselves to secrecy for his sake. Finally, they leave, heading north into the desert, and you're satisfied that they won't talk. Okay. Oh no. We have an iPhone. That's so bad. If we had an Android handy, it would be all different. But an iPhone? Man. You check your iPhone. It's broken. You take out the SIM card and destroy it. Then destroy the spares that you carry. You wear a watch because sunrise is never far from your mind. And yes, that's broken too. Then you check your satchel. But the USBs are still there. Or safe. USBs. Your hunger is still dull. still a dull ache in your teeth, and you're still in control for now. You can hear the white and the empty convenience store snuffling and moaning. You walk back to where you left your car, but it's gone, except for a single hubcap. You check your reflection. There's blood on your hands and face and clumps of gore in your hair, and your shirt and your jeans are in tatters. You have nothing to wash with, but you rub sand all over yourself to try to get as much blood off as you can. Yeah, by the way, vampires have reflections in World of Darkness. There's one vampire clan that doesn't though. Don't know for now. Don't know currently which one it was, but I know one can't see himself in mirrors. Um, you look like something that just crawled out of the earth for revenge. You can't show yourself anywhere civilized like this. Headlights appear on the highway and you fade back into the scrub. Instinctively, you check the satchel one more time, but everything is there. Everything that just happened was a distraction, someone else's problem. You can reach out the outskirts of Tucson before dawn, and from there make your way to the new Prince's Court. Just deliver these USBs, and you'll make enough money for a new car. You'll be able to keep doing this, night after night. You start walking. Next chapter. Okay, let's go on to the next chapter and look at our stats. So, doesn't look good. So we are still everything. We didn't lose any humanity, but we got more hungry. And from now on it will distract us. Our willpower got lower, which is bad. But we didn't gain a Masquerade violation, and we didn't get injured. Everything in here stayed the same. In here, apparently as well. We care about survival. Okay, interesting. So, thanks for watching, people. I will have to see if I'm gonna do another session right now, or if I will stop for today. But it's actually a really fun game for now. I really enjoy it. I will see how long this game takes overall. And based on what I see now, there seems to be some sort of replayability in here. So that's interesting as well. I especially am interested to see what happens if you take a completely different kind of guy, like if you are a science-based person or a social person. Although, yeah, would be interesting to see. Anyway, until next time.